The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the raw and uncensored Ambitchious podcast. I'm your host, the original HBIC, Katie Boyd. During our time here together, I will be instilling all of the strength, power, and determination you will need to use the very stones thrown at you to build your ultimate empire. We will redefine the word bitch from the derogatory to the acronym being in total control of herself. So let's adjust our crowns and prepare to live life ambitiously. Yeah, here I am, the original HBIC, Katie motherfucking Boyd. Today's Ambitchious episode is all about what is your why. But first, I'd like to read the iTunes review of the week, and it's from Brooke McCalman, and she says, Katie motherfucking Boyd's podcast is like a really good book or a delicious dessert. You are sad when it ends. She is hysterical and enlightening while remaining real AF. Take the time to listen. You will not regret it. Brooke, email me at themisfitclub@gmail.com so you can redeem your $100 gift certificate to use towards anything KBMFC related. And I'm not going to waste my fucking time today because if you're new to this podcast, welcome. If you've been here a couple times and you don't know what the 6 deal makers or breakers are, go back to the first fucking episode. Stop being a lazy fuck. Okay? I'm not even going to go into it. And if you don't like what I have to say on the Ambitchious podcast, you need to go into a dark room, light a candle, put on some Jay-Z, and go fuck yourself. Okay? But we're going to get into it today. We're just going to get down to the nitty-gritty titty. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Here's my wingman. This is kind of like my husband.
Guys, I kind of like
his name is Matt Babine.
Until I screw up and then I'm not the husband anymore.
Yeah, then I just put your head in the guillotine. So today we're going to be talking all about your why. And I always love to talk about my favorite topic is core desired feelings. So a lot of what happens, as you know, we talk about this all the time, is people think like, oh, if I just want $1 million, I just want a Bentley, I just want to get married, I just want a Chanel bag, and all this stupid materialistic third dimensional bullshit. And what happens is you end up getting those goals and then you're still a miserable bitch. And here is the deal. This is why you're miserable. You don't know exactly why you're doing the things that you want to do. So we're going to talk about our 5 core desired feelings. These are words that describe how you want to feel on a daily basis and how you really want to feel while you are attaining those goals.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So we're just going to get into it. So I'm going to go through one of mine and I'm going to tell you guys how I came to that word as one of my 5 core desired feelings. And Matt's going to talk about his. And it's funny because we actually have 2 that overlap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Well, we were working on this stuff for a while, so we didn't know why the hell we were doing certain things. And I think we sometimes know now.
Yeah, all the time now. I am a professional. So I'm going to first go through my 5, and then I want Matt to go through his 5, and then we're going to talk about why we came down to those words.
Absolutely.
How's that?
Sounds good.
These are my 5 core desired feelings. So these 5 words describe how I want to feel while I'm doing anything. And what I do is I use those words to ask myself the question, is this worth doing? And if they don't hit at least 3 of my core desired feelings, I say, hell no, okay? So here are my 5. So I want to feel freedom. So free is the word. I want to feel progressive. I want to feel vital. I want to feel abundant. And last but not least, I want to feel fearless.
That's awesome.
What's yours?
Yeah, so mine, number 1 is progressive as well. I got to feel like I'm moving the bar. Peaceful. I need peace in my life. Obviously, I need joy in my life and feeling vibrant, really feeling vibrant on a daily basis, and abundant. Yes, those are my 5, and those took me a long time to kind of figure out what I really wanted in life. So yeah.
So my biggest one is freedom. Okay, and
yes.
You guys obviously the reason why I'm doing this podcast today is I want you guys to start, as we are talking, I want you guys to start thinking about what your 3 to 5 core desired feelings are, okay? That's your homework. That's your ambitious homework. So for me, freedom is like my number one core desired feeling, okay? So for me, first of all, I'm an Aquarius, so we're just free AF anyways. And I'm also an indigo child, so ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do and when to do it. And I think that the freedom aspect has been like a recurring theme throughout my life. So for me, like when I was a little kid, like I remember coming home one day from school. It was like nursery school, and my mom is like, we have to put you on a special diet. And this is before like ADHD was like a thing. Like we were just bad kids, and they would like just move your desks like to the other side of the room.
My desk was always near the teacher.
Mine too. Yeah. Mine too. And so my mom was like, the nursery school teacher thinks you're eating like too much sugar and too much dye and all this shit. So my mom was kind of ahead of the game, and I remember she had a book called The Dr. Feingold's Diet for Children with Attention Problems, and that like lasted like 2 days. But the truth of the matter is I was just born a very free spirit. That's why I cannot work for anybody. First of all, anytime that I've ever had a job where I had like a boss, I was like fired within 3 days because I just would be like, no, I'm not fucking doing that.
And the attention, too, is like, you may not have been interested in what they were saying.
No.
And now they're finding out about all these kids that supposedly have attention deficit. I use my quotes, you can't see me. Maybe you're just not a good teacher. Maybe you're just not finding what juices that kid.
Absolutely.
And when you do find a teacher that really juices you, right, we could talk about them all the time, and it was not attention. We were just not interested in that, and we were probably more entrepreneur-like,
yes.
right? Looking back now.
Oh, my God, from the get-go, 100%. So that's why freedom is so important to me now. And I always tell people will come to me all the time and say, I think my child has ADHD. And I'm like, your child doesn't fucking have ADHD. Your child doesn't like math because the teacher sucks donkey balls. And it's probably not fun because they really love to sing, or they love to act, or their brain works in a different way. It's like, it's like that story about how if you wanted a fish to climb a tree like a cheetah, would that mean that it was not like an animal that was worth having on this earth?
It's not a good fish, right? Because you can't climb a tree.
Right. That's not what fish do.
Yeah.
So why are we always trying to put people into these molds and take people's freedom away? So what happens to me is when people come to me and they say, hey, do you want to do this thing with me? I always say to myself, okay, is this going to take away any ounce of my freedom?
Right.
And I really think about that on a very deep level. And I don't care how good it looks on paper, how sexy it looks, how much money I'm going to make. I always say no, because for me, my freedom is my number one core desired feeling.
Absolutely. And Terry Boyd was actually pretty right, though, right? She was right about the food, right? Because that does cause kids to go off the wall.
Well, then she just beat me with wooden spoons.
Yeah, and after you ate the food.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yes.
That'll be another day, right? When you have her
that's a whole other podcast for a different day. And now what about yours? Progressive. I know that this is one of the ones we overlap on.
It's absolutely key for me. And progressive, a lot of people think progressive is here I am, and I have to be able to make it to here within a certain amount of time. And I found as long as I've been doing this now, I can have a day where I'm in sales or in business or in life. I don't necessarily move the meter, but I go to bed that night going, wow, today I friggin' killed it. And I feel really good because I wrote down things and I was able to accomplish everything that I set out to do that day. And I may not see it in the bank account. I may not see it like the sale or the business deal or the piece I was looking for that day, but it is, I'm on my way. And when you're on your way to doing certain things, that's when you feel good. It is really the journey.
Yes.
It's not like, okay, now I made this goal. How many times people get their goals and it's like, oh, is that it? You better have another goal to set up real quick, because what happens is when you do start achieving your goals, you need to be able to be in that progressive mode.
Absolutely.
Always moving, because we never stop.
Right.
And I feel my best is when I'm working towards something important, when I'm making something happen.
And something with service.
Something with service. If it's something with you, or we're working on together, or I'm working with my karate kids, or I'm working with the healthcare business at Regional Home Care, I need to be able to see some results
Absolutely.
happening. On a tiny basis and also a big basis.
Absolutely. Yeah. And my second one is also progressive. And mine's a little bit different from your progressive. So obviously, yes, I wake up every day and I want to be a little bit better than I was yesterday. But for me, if I don't feel progression, I actually get anxiety and that's when I get depressed. So if I'm not progressing, I've noticed, just because I've been working really deeply with like my spiritual journey, is I actually get down in the dumps when I'm not evolving. So every time I'm not evolving, I have to ask myself, okay, where am I spending my time? Am I being a donkey? Am I spreading myself way too thin? Am I doing things maybe for other people because I want them to like me? It's always something like that.
Well, it's harder too when you're doing big stuff, because big stuff takes time. Like we always say, if you're building a chicken coop, there you go. Bang it up, throw it together, there it is. But if you're building a skyscraper, you're not going to be able to see the results that you're looking for on a day-to-day basis. That's why the progressiveness and saying, hey, did I achieve everything I wanted to do today? And I think when you dial yourself back in, because you're working on some big stuff right now, and when you start dialing yourself in that way, you see the results. Like, wow, I go to bed tonight, I really feel like I was able to handle these things, and I did a good job. But I think we get so caught up in the moment that we think we're not doing anything, but we're really doing some great stuff, right? Especially this big stuff that you're working on.
Yeah, we do get like that sometimes. Like there'll be days where I'm just like, what am I even doing? And you're like, Katie, stay on course,
stay
bitch.
On course, stay on target.
Like, Matt is my reeler inner, right? Because I can get really, I'm kind of a drama queen. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I can get really off my rocker really quick.
Not at all.
Your second one is joyful.
Yeah, joyful. I have to have joy, and I grew up in a kind of crazy family. I don't know, I grew up in a dysfunctional family, and I really, really need joy. In other words, if I'm going to do something, it has to bring me joy. Now, does it mean a conversation could be joyful? The people I'm around is joyful. When I get up and I work with intention, that's joyful. When I'm serving my clients, customers, family, friends, that's joy for me. So I have to do things that are joyful. Absolutely. If not, I'm like you. It's like if it doesn't line up with joy, there's going to be work, and there's going to be 10% of stuff that you have to do, right? But if 90% is joyful, there you go. It's a no-brainer.
Well, that's why it's so important to, as your work or as your career, do something that actually really sparks your heart. Because on the days where it's really tedious, you're still like, you know what, today sucked balls, but I'm feeling joy because I know that I'm progressing.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And I have not really worked for the last 20 years of my life. I can honestly say that, because I have times where it's time to push, but I'll tell you, 90% of the time, I really am juiced about what I'm doing. And I think you can say the same thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're owning your own business and the stuff that you do. So even though you didn't name joy as one of your core desired feelings, it definitely is.
I mean, I like joy. Joy's fun.
And the good thing is you can change them as you grow, right? You can change them. So I've swapped around my feelings as well.
You can totally do that. And I've done that a couple times as well. My third one is vital. I need to feel vital. And what I mean by that is, do I love to deep throat cheese raviolis? Absolument. Yes. Do I love to get jiggity with the wine? But I know that if I eat like shit and I drink a lot of alcohol and I don't meditate and my sleep is off and I'm surrounding myself with low vibrational energy vampires, I am not going to feel vital.
Yes.
So that's why when people call me and they're like, hey girl, you want to go get like white girl wasted? And I'm like, no,
but I'm on my way out the door to go with them.
Yeah, Matt's always like, I'll go with you.
You're not going to go out tonight, Katie.
Is there cigars also involved?
The cigars are involved, and I can get a little wasted.
But I'm not saying I'm not a fun person, because if you guys are friends with me or know me on an intimate level, I'm very fun. Yeah. But I've kind of just switched my life around to say, like, being like hungover and like having explosive diarrhea after I eat a bowl of pasta, and then just feeling super out of sorts because I'm not doing my spiritual game, like all those types of things, like that just for me, it's not good for me anymore. No. So I just say, you know what? Thank you for the invite, but if you want to like go to a yoga class with me or do something spiritual, I am there for that.
Yes.
But I'm just not about wasting my time like drinking and eating and just doing nothing.
And you know what it's like to be in optimal shape,
yes.
right? You know what it feels like to wake up and you know your mind is sharp, your body's sharp, you feel really good. And when you throw certain things in there, you're not going to be the 150% how you like to function. So,
absolutely. I want to be a high performance human.
Yeah.
That's like my goal in life. Yep. And because I deal with so many amazing women every day, like when I go to the gym, I want to give them 110% of myself. I don't want to be like listening to someone and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fucking hungover. Oh my God. Like, we've all been there.
I've done it. I told you when I used to go to work, I used to pull in and, when I was, years ago when in college, we would just go from a party right to work the next day. I'd be like, oh my God, just 5 more minutes. Fuck. 2 more minutes sleeping in the car, and then you go to work and you have to pull it out.
I've done it. I used to be at my old Katie Boys Misfit Club, and I would pull like an all-nighter, and I would be in my car, and I would be slapping myself in the face, and I'd be like, get it together. Get it together.
And you'd make it through the day.
You would.
And then you'd go out that night.
Well, then what I would do is I would go to Shanghai, Tokyo, and get a fucking poo-poo platter for like 4, and I would be like, oh, like the kids are gonna be so excited that I brought this poo-poo platter home for them, and then I would just fucking eat the whole thing myself and drink sweet and sour sauce, and then I would like put my faux leather pants back on and I'd go to the club again. Yeah, buddy.
Over. It's repeat.
I couldn't do that now. If I don't get my 9 hours of beauty rest, I'm a fucking shit show. So vitality is my third.
That's awesome.
My third, and your next one is vibrant.
Yeah, I need to feel.
It's very cover girl of you, Matt.
Yes, I have to feel.
I want to feel vibrant.
I feel
today.
vibrant. Well, I don't have any hair, so I have to feel something flowing, and I guess it's going to be the friggin' vibrance.
They haven't seen your back.
Okay, yeah. Well, I get some hair on the back. Isn't it funny? It grows everywhere, but on my fucking head, it's like unbelievable. I can't stand it.
5 o'clock shadow in the crack of his ass.
So, anyways, I'll tell you, I have to. I just thought about that in my mind. So
what, your hairy ass crack? I have to see it every day.
Yeah. So,
it's a real treat.
I'm going to get back on point.
It's a real treat.
So I can feel some progression. I need to feel vibrant. I need to feel like I am alive. I have to meditate every day. I have to take care of my body. Do I like a good chicken palm? Absolutely.
Oh, God.
Do I like a nice martini? Absolutely. I love a few martinis. But I know when I do it, I have to, recover. It takes recovery time. And I'm not my optimal. So thank God I have my wife to help me help me be more vibrant.
Jesus Christmas.
More often than not.
I'll fucking make you vibrant, motherfucker. All right.
I was hoping.
So my fourth core desired feeling is abundant. So I used to have wealthy, and it doesn't align with me because it's not all about money. Abundance is really about just having abundance of everything, abundance of love, abundance of time, just abundance of freedom, abundance of all your other core desired feelings. But do I like money? Absolutely. And money likes me as well. And it's funny because I was talking to Matt, and Matt was like, why is abundant like one of your 5 core desired feelings? And I said, it all started when I was a kid. And I wanted a Barbie dream house.
Oh, boy.
Do you remember back in the day, the Barbie dream house? Oh, my God. It was like my jam, and I wanted it so bad. And I remember I was like 5 years old, and I was driving around town with my dad. And, of course, he had a butt hanging out of his mouth, and we're talking, and, it was the 80s, so it was totally normal. The windows were probably rolled up as well. Totally normal. And I kept saying, Daddy, I want a Barbie dream house. I want a Barbie dream house. And he saw this broken down, split in half old dollhouse on the side of the road. It was out in someone's trash. So he pulls over to the side of the road, gets out of the car, and I remember looking out the window is this motherfucker serious? He's gonna this is not a Barbie dream house. This is fucking ghetto. AF, okay? This is like the ghetto Barbie dream house. It's not a dream. It was a nightmare house. And I remember him picking this Barbie dream house, quote fingers, out of the trash, and I remember these little girls were in the window, and they were screaming at my dad, That's my old dollhouse. You're a loser. You're poor. God. And I just heard those words. I was 5 years old. I felt so fucking embarrassed for that moment. And I remember bringing this fucking dollhouse home and playing with it. And I think it was made out of metal, so I would cut my fingers on it and shit.
Yeah.
And I remember being 5 years old and declaring, I will never ever want for anything. When I want something, I will buy it.
Right.
And when I need something, I will have the funds to buy it. I never, from a young age, I never wanted to feel lack.
That was an imprint. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Big time imprint in your mind to say this is never going to happen to me, right? I mean, that's huge.
And then I remember my dad's friend came over, and I had just got a new bike, and I was, again, 6 years old or something, and his friend ran my bike over by accident. He backed up and just mangled it. And then I remember the next day my dad went to the dump and got me a bike, and the wheels were all just they were falling off. The thing was all fucked up. And I just remember wheeling this bike around my yard, and I'm like, this is wrong. I never want to feel like this again. So from a very young age, my whole life, I've been super entrepreneurial, a go-getter, hungry, because from that moment as a child, I never wanted to feel lack ever again. And am I mad at my dad for that? No, absolutely not.
It was a lesson.
I love my dad. Like everyone's trying their best, but I remember this so vividly in my mind. And ever since then, that day, those 2 days spilled over into my adult life. And that's why, people are like, you're obsessed and you're crazy and like, you never rest. And it's like, yeah, because I never want to fucking feel like that ever again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's an imprint. It's funny because when you mentioned that, I thought of an imprint.
I need a Xanax now.
No, we don't need a Xanax. No, but the same thing happened to me. It was funny because we were moving our home when I was younger, and I was still in bed. It was like during the summertime, and my parents were trying to sell the house, and the realtor, I'll never forget, goes to my parents, well, to be able to hold this deal together, you get this deal, you need to come up with, have to have $1,000. And $1,000 buying a home or getting involved in a home is nothing, right? And I heard my mom and my dad say, "Oh, we don't have $1,000," and that was like an imprint to me. I was like, "Whoa, that's freaking crazy!" And it just stuck with me. And those are the things that really start to create you to be able to move in the direction that you choose to be.
Right.
Because now you have a choice. When you're older and you're in the United States of America, you choose. You get up in the morning, you work as hard as you want, you take the chances that you want. You have everything here.
Right.
And everyone's self-made. There's only so many people that will admit that they're self-made, right?
Absolutely.
And so that was a really imprint for me as well. And to talk about abundant, now the money thing is important, but other things are more important. I want to feel abundant. I want to be able to stand in my power, right? That's abundance to me. To be able to stand who I am and know who I am, that's feeling abundant to me.
Absolutely.
Also being a person that you're meant to be. Right? And have abundant relationships, not hanging around with a bunch of people talking about a bunch of bullshit that you're not interested in.
Right.
You want to have great relationships. That's abundance, to be able to say, hey, I can pick the phone up and I have a problem and I can get the answer to this problem, or I have somebody I can kind of commiserate with if I'm dealing with something, right? That's huge. And also to have an abundance of love, right? Because you can have all the money in the world and then you come home and your spouse is not the one you want to be with, and you're not in love, or whatever the case may be. And so many people live that way, right?
Absolutely.
And don't get the experience. And that's really huge abundance.
Huge.
Right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And my last one is fearless. Fearless. So I kind of was playing around with the words. Do I want to be brave? Do I want to be courageous? But I want to be fearless. And being fearless doesn't mean you don't have fear. It means you feel the fear, but you fucking do shit anyways.
Yes.
And I'm in this like amazing space in my life where everything I do every day, I feel so fucking uncomfortable. Like every day I'm like, this doesn't feel very comfortable. And I'm doing all of these, talks coming up and I'm doing Kripalu and all these things. And I'm like, every morning I wake up and I'm like, fuck, no one showed up to Kripalu. Oh my God. Or like someone doesn't show up to my talk and there's like 4 people there and then like the room starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
That was a dream you had this morning.
And then I fart and I shit my pants and then there's just shit running down this is like a real thing, guys. So, but when I feel this way in my dreams and also in my waking state, I know you're doing big growth work. You're being fearless because as we always say, nothing good comes from a comfort zone.
And what is it they say too is the cockpit shakes the most when you're about to break the sound barrier.
Absolutely.
So what happens if the guy was doing it? He was like, oh my God, this plane's really going too fast. I better slow down. No, he goes, this is going to happen. Then all of a sudden, sonic boom.
Absolutely.
Right? So you're ready for the sonic boom,
yeah.
Babe.
So, it's like everything that we want is on the other side of fear.
Yes.
Everything.
Unfortunately.
Right.
That's how it works.
And that's why people never reach their true dreams, goals, and desires because they are so afraid of being judged, afraid of failing. Let's be honest, if you're a successful person in this day and age, you probably failed more times and fucked up more times than not.
Yes.
I could do a whole friggin' podcast just on how many times I fucked up and failed. Believe me, it'd be very entertaining.
I don't think there's enough tape for me.
No. Seriously. But guess what?
Fuck up.
We're living our dream lives right now.
Yes,
and it's only getting better because every time we feel the fear, we take a big, deep swallow and say, no, but I'm going to do it anyway. And that's truly what living your best life really is all about. So I challenge you all to really start thinking about what your 5 core desired feelings are. And then what you do is you use those words in every decision that you ever make in your lifetime on a daily basis.
Yes.
Right? Because you probably think about these words, right?
Absolutely.
Like
all
on
the
a daily
time.
basis.
All the time.
Do you have any examples where you've used it lately?
Well, my last one is being peaceful. That's my last one, and it has to be. I have to feel peaceful, right? Because I grew up in so much craziness.
You give me so much peace.
And thank you.
Piece of ass.
All right, if it has to go that way, that's the way it goes. No, I have to feel peace, right? I can't hang around with negative people.
Absolutely.
I can't hang around with people that are fighting or having conflict, right? So I have to be able to, I mean, everyone has the problem here and there, but if that's that way they are,
yes.
Oh my God, that's not what I want to do.
When you've grown up in like a tumultuous household,
yes.
Like our house, if you ever come over our house, and some of you here have been to my home, it's so peaceful.
Yes.
Like when people walk in, they're like, "Oh my God, like I don't even want to leave because it's just so zen." But we work so hard to make it that way.
And it's so important, right? Because you're out in the world, you're doing your thing, and you can't control everything that's going on out there. But that's where you go home to,
That's
right?
right.
So who comes over our home has to be, at that level. I can't have, craziness.
Riff-raff in my house.
Craziness.
Right?
Or worse, people you don't think are riff-raff, they become riff-raff.
Oh, that happens sometimes too. You think people are cool,
Right?
and then shit hits the fan.
So
I want to end today with this really beautiful poem, and it's by, he's an American poet, and his name is Charles Bukowski, and this is what he says. If you're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, and maybe even your mind. It could mean not eating for 3 or 4 days. It could mean freezing on a park bench. It could mean jail. It could mean derision. It could mean mockery, isolation. Isolation is the gift. All the others are a test of your endurance, of how much you really want to do it. And you'll do it despite rejection and the worst odds. And it will be better than anything else you can imagine. And if you're going to try, go all the way. There is no other feeling like that. You will be alone with the gods, and the nights will flame with fire. You will ride life straight to perfect laughter. It's the only good fight that there is.
Wow.
You like that?
Awesome.
Did you get a boner? I saw it moving a little bit under the table.
Oh, God.
Be alone with the gods. So if you want to hear this podcast episode again or share it with a friend, send them to the UnitedPodcastNetwork.tv. That's UnitedPodcastNetwork.tv. You can also find this podcast and the vodcast video on demand in case you want to watch it. Find this episode and all previous episodes on UnitedPodcast.tv, and please subscribe. And like I always say, thank you for being crusaders of the Ambitchious movement. And see you next Tuesday.
Bye, guys.
Ow, ow.
That was beautiful. Nice job.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.